I used to believe the official version of history, until I saw things with my own eyes. Machines buried in coal seem said to be millions of years old. Bodies mummified in ways that don't even look human. Ancient sarcophagi carved with the outlines of creatures we still can't identify. And strange artifacts so unexplainable that scientists hesitate to even discuss them. But here's the shocking truth, none of this is fiction. These are real discoveries. They were studied, verified, documented, but then forgotten, ignored, or in some cases quietly dismissed. What you're about to see isn't rumor. It's not fantasy. These are the finds that historians confirmed, yet each one shatters everything we thought we knew about our past. You're watching Rivo TV. Let's dive in. In the spring of 2014, far up in northern Yakutia, Russia, a gold prospector at the Anabar placer noticed something strange in his pan. Among the usual grains of sand and bits of gold, there was a tiny transparent rod, barely the length of a fingernail. At first glance it looked like a diamond, but this was no ordinary diamond. Unlike natural diamonds, which form with sharp crystal facets, this one was a flawless cylinder. A smooth, perfect rod. The miners nicknamed it the sewing needle from the dinosaur age. When scientists at the Yakutsk Institute tested it with advanced tools, laser spectroscopy and an electron microscope, the results were even stranger. It was indeed diamond, but on its surface they found a thin layer of titanium nitride and cobalt dust. That combination isn't natural, it's the protective coating used in high-tech industries to strengthen artificial diamonds grown by chemical vapor deposition. Tracing its origin, the scientists discovered the truth. In the late 1990s, the Yakut Research Institute had produced diamond-tipped probes for measuring the temperature inside molten steel ladles. During testing, one of those probes cracked, and a piece was discarded. Over time, floods and erosion carried it into an ancient clay deposit. That's where, years later, the prospector unknowingly uncovered it. The mystery was solved quickly, but by then the story had already taken on a life of its own. The needle from the dinosaur age became a local legend. And to this day, gold diggers in that region still hope to stumble across another one. But not every mystery has such a clean answer. Take the Black Knight satellite. For decades, people have claimed that a strange object has been orbiting Earth, watching us, for 13,000 years. The legend pieces itself together from scattered reports. In 1899, Nikola Tesla picked up unexplained radio echoes he couldn't explain. In 1954, a newspaper reported two unknown satellites circling Earth, at a time when no nation had the technology to launch them. And then, in 1998, during NASA's STS-88 Space Shuttle mission, cameras captured a photo of a large, dark, triangular object floating high above Earth. The image looked like something out of science fiction, a sentinel in the sky, orbiting in silence. But scientists offered simple explanations. Tesla's echoes were likely disturbances in the ionosphere. The 1954 satellites were just a journalist's exaggeration. And the ominous shape in the NASA photo? A thermal blanket that drifted away from the shuttle during the mission. It was officially catalogued as debris 025570, and it burned up in the atmosphere days later. Yet despite the rational explanations, the myth won't die. Every time a telescope catches a glimpse of a strange shadow in the sky, the legend of the Black Knight returns, as if humanity can't quite let go of the possibility that someone, or something, has been watching us for thousands of years. The late 19th century brought another mystery: crystal skulls. Perfectly polished, life-sized skulls carved from quartz began showing up in antique shops in Paris. Nobody knew where they had come from. Dealers whispered that they were Maya relics, that they could sing under the moonlight, that they could open gateways to other worlds. The legends grew bigger. Some claimed there were 13 skulls in total. Together, they supposedly revealed a star map, or a message from vanished celestial teachers. Mediums claimed the quartz resonated with human brainwaves. New Age healers charged fortunes for activation sessions, promising mystical visions to those who held them. But in the 1990s, when the British Museum and the Smithsonian tested the most famous skulls with electron microscopes, the truth was revealed. The surfaces bore marks from diamond-coated rotary tools, machines that didn't exist until after the 1860s. The quartz was flawless, lacking the internal cracks that should have been left by hand-polishing techniques. In short, most of the skulls were fakes, carved with modern machinery. And yet, one skull doesn't fit the pattern. Said to have been found in Belize before the flood of forgeries, it has no receipts, no excavation records, only stories from owners who swore it was polished by hand over centuries with quartz dust and water. Scientists lean toward it being another copy, but some leave a sliver of doubt. What if it really is ancient? What if the Maya, or some older civilization, did have tools or techniques we've simply forgotten? Austria, 1885. In a brown coal mine, a worker split open a block and watched as something metallic clattered to the floor. It was a small iron cube, its edges unnaturally smooth, with grooves as though it had been shaped on a lathe. The coal it came from was dated at around 20 million years old. Newspapers went wild, calling it a bolt from the Stone Age. The cube was eventually studied at a museum in Salzburg. Tests revealed it wasn't pure iron, but cast iron, full of carbon and slag, typical of 19th century blast furnaces. One edge even had a small tail where molten metal had cooled and hardened as it left the mold. Under a microscope, the surface was porous and rusty, looking far more like waste from a furnace than a relic from another age. Still, the cube had fallen from a block of coal. Maybe it was dropped into a coal cart by accident. Maybe it was pressed into the seam over time. But people couldn't help staring at its perfect edges and wondering. What if it really was something else? What if it was once a piece of a machine that belonged to a civilization lost in time? The deeper we look, the stranger the past becomes. In 1851, near Dorchester, Massachusetts, workers blasting solid rock stumbled upon something extraordinary. Amid the rubble lay a small, bell-shaped vase made of a mysterious zinc and silver alloy. It was beautifully inlaid with floral patterns and a vine-like design circling its middle. The vase had been split in two by the blast, yet every detail remained pristine. Here's the mystery: the rock surrounding it was estimated to be over 500 million years old. Human civilization. Practically non-existent. Complex life. Just beginning. And yet here was an object of unmistakable craftsmanship, encased in ancient stone. Some skeptics suggest it could have been buried in a cavity or crack that only later became filled with sediment. But the precision of the discovery, embedded, not merely resting in debris, makes believers question everything we think we know about history. Today, the Dorchester Pot is gone, lost to time, leaving only sketches and stories behind. Moving to the seas, the Antikythera Mechanism remains one of the most compelling enigmas of the ancient world. Retrieved from a shipwreck off Greece in 1901, it initially appeared as a corroded lump of bronze. But as archaeologists painstakingly cleaned it, dozens of cogs, gears, and wheels were revealed. This wasn't ornamental, it was a complex machine, a mechanical computer, capable of predicting eclipses, tracking planetary movements, and modeling the moon's irregular orbit. Built more than 2,000 years ago, its level of precision wouldn't be seen again until medieval European clockmakers in the 14th century. How did ancient Greeks achieve this? Did knowledge from a lost civilization influence them? Was it a singular creation or part of a broader, forgotten technological tradition? Even now, experts admit the full scope of what existed may never be known. But while the Antikythera Mechanism is celebrated, other artifacts are quietly dismissed. Take the London hammer, discovered in 1936 in Texas. A couple unearthed a rock concretion with a hammerhead embedded inside. The hammerhead was iron, attached to a wooden handle partially fossilized into coal. The surrounding rock was dated to over 100 million years old. Some viewed it as evidence that humans coexisted with dinosaurs. Others suggested a more mundane explanation, a 19th century hammer that became naturally encased in a concretion over time. Analysis revealed the iron was unusually pure, and the wood partially petrified. Scientists remain divided, but the story fuels speculation about human history and forgotten technologies. Traveling east, the Iron Pillar of Delhi stands as a marvel of ancient metallurgy. Rising over 20 feet and weighing roughly 6 tons, it has withstood 1,600 years of monsoons with minimal rust. Modern metallurgists struggle to reproduce its corrosion resistance. The secret? A high concentration of phosphorus in the iron, forming a protective layer against oxidation. Was this an accident, or evidence of ancient engineering far ahead of its time? Even today, visitors trace their hands along the pillar's smooth surface, marveling at what human ingenuity, and perhaps lost knowledge, can achieve. Then there's the Baghdad Battery, unearthed in 1938 by Austrian archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig. In a clay jar, he discovered a copper cylinder enclosing an iron rod. When filled with an acidic liquid, the device produced a small electric current. Could the Parthians, 2 millennia ago, have harnessed electricity? Perhaps for plating metals with gold or silver? Or for mysterious rituals now lost to time? Skeptics argue it was merely a storage vessel, yet replicas confirm it could generate measurable electricity. Small, but remarkable, an ancient civilization may have grasped principles we thought modern. Consider the London hammer, the Dorchester pot, the Antikythera Mechanism, and the Baghdad Battery together, evidence of human ingenuity that challenges conventional timelines. And that's just scratching the surface. Even in modern history, discoveries continue to astonish. In the late 19th century, the crystal skulls began surfacing across Europe. Perfectly polished quartz skulls, life-sized and eerie, appeared in Parisian antique shops. Sellers whispered they were Maya relics capable of unlocking otherworldly powers. Legend suggested 13 skulls, when united, could project star maps or messages from vanished celestial teachers. Mediums claimed the crystals resonated with human brainwaves. Modern healers charged fortunes to activate them. Yet when the Smithsonian and British Museum tested these skulls in the 1990s, electron microscopes revealed diamond-coated rotary tool marks, machines that didn't exist until after the 1860s. Most skulls were modern recreations. Still, one skull, purportedly from Belize, remains unexplained. No receipts, no excavation records, only accounts of meticulous hand polishing over centuries with water and quartz dust. Scientists lean toward skepticism, yet they admit the possibility that we've simply forgotten the tools or techniques once used by ancient civilizations. In Austria, 1885, a coal miner uncovered a small iron cube inside a brown coal seam estimated at 20 million years old. Its edges were unnaturally smooth, and grooves suggested precise machining. Initial reports called it a bolt from the Stone Age. Museum analysis revealed the cube was cast iron typical of 19th-century furnaces, with molten tails visible at one edge. A mundane explanation, yet observers continue to wonder if it might have belonged to an unknown machine, buried and preserved by time itself. Artifacts like these illustrate a larger pattern: objects, tools, or devices appearing far outside expected timelines. Many are explained through science or coincidence, yet some resist explanation entirely, leaving a tantalizing space for speculation. Even natural phenomena create baffling artifacts. In the Sahara, 29 million years ago, a meteor airburst melted sand into nearly pure glass, creating fields of yellow gold fragments. These desert glass pieces were later used in artifacts, including Tutankhamun's chest scarab. The intense heat and pressure of the meteor formed zircon and badolite crystals. The crater remains undiscovered, leaving scientists debating whether it was an airburst or buried impact. Each shimmering fragment reminds us that the sky can leave permanent marks on Earth in the most beautiful and mysterious ways. Imagine standing in the heat of Florida in the 1930s. One man, a Latvian immigrant named Edward Leedskalnin, was quietly working under the stars. Neighbors would hear scraping sounds at night, but when they came in the morning, massive coral limestone blocks, some weighing more than 30 tons, were already standing upright, perfectly balanced. He called his creation Rock Gate, though today it's known as Coral Castle. Edward claimed he had discovered the secret of the ancient pyramid builders. Kids who spied on him swore they saw blocks floating, as if weightless. After his death, people expected to uncover some lost technology, but what they found was more down-to-earth: a tripod made from telephone poles, chains, a winch, and a set of notes filled with lever equations. It seems he relied on balance, counterweights, and raw persistence. But even with simple tools, some questions remain. The 9-ton gate still turns effortlessly on a single metal pin. Engineers admit they can't fully explain how he managed such precision. Maybe Edward didn't use magic, but the aura of mystery he left behind still keeps visitors wondering if he knew something we've forgotten. Fast forward to 1971, along the banks of the Loire River in France. Amateur paleontologist Gaston Leroux stumbled on what looked like a perfectly preserved human molar buried in Pliocene-era layers, dated around 3 million years ago. That was long before modern humans should have existed. Newspapers went wild, calling it evidence of a lost pre-human civilization. Some even whispered about Atlantis. Leroux himself showcased it, magnifying glass in hand, claiming it proved history was incomplete. But when scientists from the Sorbonne examined it, the truth surfaced. The tooth was modern, only a few centuries old, encased in calcite deposits that made it look ancient. The verdict cooled the excitement, but the legend lingers. If a single tooth could fossilize like that, could there be real ancient remains still waiting to be found? A year later, in 1972, a discovery in Gabon shook the entire scientific world. A shipment of uranium ore arrived in France for testing. To everyone's surprise, the uranium-235 isotope was depleted, as if it had already been burned in a nuclear reactor. Panic spread. Had someone secretly tapped the Earth's core? Investigators rushed to Gabon, drilling samples and running isotope analyses. The answer was astonishing but natural. 2 billion years ago, conditions aligned perfectly: uranium-rich rock, flowing groundwater, and natural neutron moderation. The Earth itself had created a self-sustaining nuclear reactor that cycled on and off for hundreds of thousands of years. No aliens, no lost technology, just geochemistry at work. Yet the thought that our planet once ran its own nuclear plant remains mind-bending. In 1996, a quarry worker in Tatarstan split a sandstone boulder and froze. Inside was a strange object, a bolt-like shape complete with threading. Photos hit newspapers under the headline, "Jurassic Machine Part Found in Stone." Theories exploded. Some believed it was proof of advanced civilizations, others swore it was alien technology. But when paleontologists examined it, the mystery unraveled. The bolt was the fossilized stem of a crinoid, an ancient sea lily. These stems often fossilize into shapes that look eerily like screws and washers. Nature had imitated technology, tricking human imagination yet again. Still, the artifact is displayed in a local museum as a mystery of nature, a reminder that truth can sometimes be stranger than fiction. Now shift to Laos, where the landscape is dotted with thousands of massive stone jars, each taller than a person. Local folklore said giants once drank rice wine from them. Early explorers scratched their heads. Why were there no lids? Why were some pierced at the base? Excavations in recent years revealed the jars were part of Iron Age burial practices. Bodies were left to decompose, and then bones were placed inside these monumental urns. But the mystery of their construction remains unsolved. Some jars weigh several tons and were carved from stone found miles away. There are no tool marks, no clear answers on how they were moved. The purpose may be explained, but the method still eludes us. From Southeast Asia to South Africa, the Klerksdorp spheres. Miners in the 20th century pulled out small, dark stone balls with etched grooves around the middle, perfectly round, as if turned on a lathe. The rock around them dated back 3 billion years. Conspiracy theories flared. Were these relics of an ancient machine? But geologists found they were natural formations of pyrite and hematite that formed under intense geological pressure. The grooves were natural partings from crystal growth. Nature, once again, had fooled us with its uncanny precision. Not all mysteries come from stone. In 1890, deep in the Ural Mountains, workers uncovered a carved wooden figure preserved in a peat bog, the Shigar idol. Its surface was covered with zigzag patterns and faces stacked atop one another. When first dated, scientists said it was around 9,500 years old. Later testing revealed it was over 12,000 years old, making it the oldest known wooden sculpture in the world. Some say its carvings represent spirits, others say a cosmic map. But why was it sunk into a bog and buried with stones? Was it a protective totem, a historical record, or something else entirely? Its meaning remains shrouded in time, though the figure itself survived millennia in silence. In 1984, Russian miners found something unexpected in coal seams, an elegant gold ring. Newspapers screamed, "Pre-flood jewelry." The ring, decorated with a bunch of grapes, looked ancient, yet tests revealed it was made of a gold-platinum alloy only produced since the 19th century. Likely dropped by a miner and pressed into the coal during collapses. Still, the perfection of the polish sparked whispers. How could it remain so flawless underground for so long? In 1938, archaeologist Chi Pu Ti in China discovered a series of stone discs in a remote cave. Each disc was about the size of a dinner plate, with a hole in the center and spiral grooves etched across the surface. Rumors said they told the story of the Dorchester people, an extraterrestrial race that crash-landed on Earth 12,000 years ago. Reports claimed over 700 discs existed, some even producing electrical impulses when tested. But when researchers dug deeper, they found no trace of these artifacts in museums, no reliable photos, and most of the translations traced back to sensationalist magazine stories. Archaeologists agree, the Dorchester discs are likely a myth built on a foundation of exaggeration. Yet the story refuses to die, and every time a mysterious stone disc appears, believers ask, what if one of them is real? From China to the Indus Valley, at Mohenjo-daro, archaeologists unearthed tiny bronze rings. Under electron microscopes, faint scratches resembled script finer than a human hair. Some speculated it was nanowriting left by a civilization far ahead of its time. But most markings turned out to be corrosion and random patterns, with only a handful resembling actual script. Still, the idea of a civilization writing at microscopic scales is so captivating that the legend persists. Egypt also hides its enigmas. In a quarry, a massive obelisk lies unfinished, still attached to bedrock. It measures over 42 meters long and would have weighed 1,200 tons if completed. Ancient workers had begun smoothing the sides when a crack formed, forcing them to abandon it. Dolerite pounders and wooden wedges are visible in tool marks across the stone. Archaeologists say it was achievable with manpower and patience, but skeptics claim no amount of pounding could leave surfaces that smooth. Whether explained by simple methods or not, the obelisk remains a silent monument to ambition and mystery. In 1924, in the French village of Glosel, a farmer plowing his field found clay tablets inscribed with strange symbols beneath a stone ring. Archaeologists uncovered a confusing mix: Neolithic tools, medieval artifacts, and inscribed tablets with writing no one could identify. Some experts cried hoax, others defended the site. Even today, no full translation exists. The Glosel artifacts sit uneasily between fraud and revelation, a puzzle box of history that refuses to be solved. Legends also live in Ethiopia, where the Church of St. Mary of Zion claims to house the Ark of the Covenant. No one except one appointed guardian priest is allowed to see it. Visitors describe flashes of light and a heavy presence around the chapel. Some speculate it's a powerful electrical device, an ancient capacitor. Skeptics argue it's simply a revered container for sacred texts. Without opening it, the truth remains sealed. Across the ocean in Bolivia, a stone bowl was found with carvings that seemed to blend Andean designs with Mesopotamian cuneiform. Was it proof of transoceanic contact thousands of years before Columbus? Microscopic studies revealed the inscriptions were clumsy, likely carved in the 20th century. But still, The idea that one artifact could unite continents continues to stir imagination. In Delhi, India, a 7-meter iron pillar has stood for over 1,500 years without rusting. Legends say those who embrace it with their arms will have their wishes fulfilled. Science revealed the truth: the iron has a high phosphorus content, which forms a protective layer against corrosion. It's brilliant metallurgy, but the fact that blacksmiths perfected this formula centuries before modern chemistry still amazes experts. From Asia back to the frozen steppes, in 1949, Russian archaeologists uncovered a Scythian burial mound containing a wool carpet woven with breathtaking detail. Despite being 2,500 years old, the carpet was vividly colored and perfectly preserved. How? It had been buried in permafrost under layers of stone, creating a natural freezer. Today, the Pazyryk carpet stands as one of the most exquisite textiles in history, proving that ancient artisans mastered techniques still admired today. In the 1990s, Russian gold prospectors found tiny metallic spirals just a few millimeters long, made from tungsten and molybdenum. Ancient nanotechnology? That's what headlines claimed. But experts concluded they were fragments of modern drilling equipment eroded into spiral shapes. Yet, the possibility of advanced microengineering in antiquity remains a tantalizing what if. Through these discoveries, patterns emerge. Sometimes, nature imitates design so perfectly that we see machines in fossils. Sometimes, hoaxes reveal more about our imagination than our past. And sometimes, the Earth itself produces wonders so advanced they seem impossible. We can dismiss many of these stories with science and reason. But even the ones explained still carry an aura of mystery. Because each artifact, whether a hoax, a natural phenomenon, or a misunderstood object, forces us to confront a bigger question: what else is out there, waiting to be uncovered? Our history is not finished. It is a puzzle, and we've only found a few pieces. Maybe the greatest discoveries are still buried, waiting for someone brave enough to look. This is Rivo TV. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the most extraordinary mysteries are hidden in plain sight.